dig up stories and keep everybody honest is what we're told. At least that's what I was told. And you dig into it, you follow the corporate chains, and you find out, no, they're all owned. There's nothing free about it. Go get 30 seconds during the Super Bowl and tell me that's free. And if you look at the salaries of the people, you're looking at $12 million salaries for these guys. There's nothing free about it. The only thing free right now is the internet. You get a little laptop and plug yourself in. And like I said, I'm seeing this journalism happening spontaneously by people digging, and that's real journalism. It's not PR. PR, like we see in the United States, they have a massive PR budget for the military, and as well as they're now connected. You know, honestly, military officials embed into the mainstream media, which was supposed to be illegal. So we had that private Jessica Lynch story during the Iraq War, where she was shot down and courageously defended herself, but was abducted, and the team had to go in and rescue her, and it was all over Newsweek, Time magazine, and all that stuff. And then we have the Pat Tillman story, who he's an NFL star, and he gives up his multi-million-dollar contract because he believes in the fight. He and his brothers sign up, and they're off. And when he comes back, he talks to his coach, and he says to his coach, it's not what I thought. And then he's killed in combat. Another massive firefight where he heroically just blasted these jihadists apart. Amazing. And later we find out it's all freaking bullshit. Pat Tillman was there when Jessica Lynch was rescued. We find out that he was actually held back with his team, and they were told to wait for the cameras. And she was just lying in a hospital. Iraqi doctors were taking care of her. She was fine. There's no risk to her. There's no armed bandits, nothing. It was just all a PR show. He knew that. And you find out that he didn't die in a heroic gunfight. His group was divided up, and he was shot by one of his own guys. And they're wondering how that happened and why, and the family couldn't find answers. It's a great documentary, that one also. This great pulling down of the statue of Saddam Hussein by the Iraqis after, this massive war. Well, the statue was taken down twice, once with the American flag and once with the Iraqi flag. And the guys pulling it down that look like Iraqis are from a PR firm. They were seen at multiple locations, and they were choppered around by the U.S. military. So my perception growing up was that here's this media, it's a layer between me and the masses and what's going on, and that media brings me information, right? That was my perception, and my reality is that there's somebody who controls that media, they own it, they operate it, and they give me and the rest of us people an image of what they want. It's that simple. I'm just going to move a little bit faster here because we're running out of time. Consolidation, just between the 1980s and 2004, you had a division by 10, basically from 50 down to 5 of the ownership of media in the United States. It's incredible concentration. Yeah. They never recant their stories, really. So, it's a rough outline of the media myth. And then there's medical science and food. My brother's a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. If I get hurt, I definitely want to go to a hospital. I think our Western medical system offers a lot of technology, and it's fantastic. But there's something just not right in Dodge. And when you start digging into it, you find out that, it's kind of like Chris Rock said, there's no money in getting to the cure. You're better off treating symptoms. And when we look at the graphs, the incident rates for disease haven't stalled, they're going up. Treatments are better. You're going to get cancer. We can keep you alive. We're going to chop it out and give you chemo. You're going to survive, but you're going to need our treatment to live. But the percentage of getting disease is going up. That to me is not a successful system, If the guys fixing planes are saying, we can fix lots of planes, we don't want them fixed. We don't want them breaking in the first place, right? We want them flying. It's the same kind of logic. It's crazy. Then you start digging, you find out, vaccines are so great. They save so many people. Really? And you get a graphic on the left. Look, we introduced vaccines, and look how much it went down. They're obviously incredibly successful and powerful. Then you go get the whole data set, and you realize that graph on the right, vaccines were introduced way down here. You start to learn vaccines, even a blip, the amount of people that are infected through time. And you realize that there's a disease cycle where disease comes in, there's a natural cycle where it'll burn itself out. So if you take your Dr. McGillicuddy's magic potion and you introduce it at the right time, you can say, look, hey, look what we did. It's hard to check, very hard to check. Right now we have the Gardasil scam going on. So women and girls are told to take this vaccine. Well, the vaccine is for a virus that's sexually transmitted. So when they're vaccinating your 12-year-old girl, we're saying that the 12-year-old girl's having sex to begin with. The human body cures 90% of the cases. 10% of the cases are persistent and require intervention, but it's 100% curable. Of those infected, 1% might get cervical cancer, and the link isn't understood. And of the 1% that get cervical cancer, it'll probably show itself after 50. So I'll have like 40 years from now to figure that one out. So what's the rationale behind pushing this vaccine, if that's the math behind it? And then come and tell me that my boys need the Gardasil vaccine. My boys don't have cervix. It tells you how crazy this stuff is getting. It's because, why? Because the corporate model needs to make money. And if vaccines don't cause autism, why the fuck do we have these vaccine courts? Why don't we have a separate court system in the United States to treat? If you get vaccine damage and you claim vaccine damage, you don't get the usual court system. You get a special court system, which isn't in the public eye, right? And that private court system that the vaccine industry has doled out billions. So there's no damage, there's no link. What's this all about? When they started fighting for tobacco, and it was realized that tobacco was causing cancer, what the court system, what the lawyers did is they said, well, you can prove correlation, meaning, yeah, the incidence of cancer, lung cancer, goes up with tobacco usage, but you can't prove that that's what's causing it. It could be something else. It could be seatbelts. You have to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, causation. And this is the same joke that's been going on with the vaccine, and some vaccines are causing damage. When you get into court, this is what they're faced with. We met Dr. Andrew Molson. He was a very brilliant guy, and he showed causation, mechanically, what's happening in the blood vessels, how the mercury that they're putting in some of the vaccines is causing sludging of the blood. It's basically causing small heart attacks in the brain, which is causing nerve damage. And yeah, he's dead. He dropped dead in his living room. Just like that. No one knows why or how. Fluoride. Pump fluoride into the water. That's a good one. So, your toothpaste says do not ingest. It says do not ingest because it contains fluoride, which is a neurotoxin. This has been known for ages. You get in behind the science. So how is it that all of a sudden they said, no, you know what? Fluoride is good for the teeth, and teeth create hygiene, help people. So the way we're going to medically administer this medicine, which we're calling it a medicine fluoride, is we're going to dump it into the water supply. Are we going to next dump antibiotics into the water supply? Does that make any sense from a medical perspective? There's no medicine behind this. Fluoride in the water is just a political scam. And it's a way of getting rid of it. Basically hazardous waste, to be honest. And that quote on the bottom is on Canadian Broadcast Company. This, the guy in charge of the EPA scientists saying fluoridation is the greatest case of scientific fraud of this century. And he's not alone, there's lots of them. So you look at these court cases, and it's funny, in courts, they would say, if you sell something, and you know it's not what it's intended to do, that's a fraud. If you sell a medicine and aggressively push it after knowing that it's not effective, that's quackery. The legal term is quackery. So the biggest court case so far was Pfizer, $2.3 billion settlement. Seems like a lot of money, right? So they had notified that their product was not effective, and it was proven, and they continued to push it. So they got a fine. They never used the term quackery in court, though. And fine, so what? They made $48 million with $8 billion in profit. So they pay the $2.3 billion. Still a great business deal for them. So we're forced to pay taxes and buy insurance and stuff that's devised by health programs that we have no control over. Tomorrow, if you get sick because you're in a public health system, you have to go with the public health system, or you have to pay to do something else. If you want to heal yourself with cannabis oil, your cancer, you got to fight the government to get access to it. But if you want, you can get chemotherapy, right? It's kind of messed up. Chapter 6 is the myth of advanced education. So we're told that our schooling system is the best in the world. I mean, we do have great classrooms. We have nice facilities. But there's something with the education system that's not right. If I go through 6 years of university and I don't understand the basis for money, there's something a little crooked in Dodge, right? So in Kentucky, we lived in Kentucky too, we do power plants down there, and we had to have our 5-year-old boy vaccinated. He wasn't allowed going to school without being vaccinated there. In California, they just made it mandatory for the population to be vaccinated. It's crazy stuff. So as a citizen, you're forced to pay tax to the school system, then you're forced to give your child needles, even if you don't believe in them. And I'm afraid of it. I'm a free guy. So the education system was corrupted, and you can trace it back to the Rockefeller Foundation. So in 1903, they were already very powerful, the oil industry. Oil industry kicked off in the late 1800s. They're already